Hello there, YouTube. We are back with some more Matchplay commentary for y'all. I'm joined by my pinhead, my brother from another mother, the king himself, TJ.
Bow to me. If you doth not subscribeth to this channeleth, then payeth thine tax and bow, and then subscribe. Thank you.
And some kisses on the cheek, you know?
Yes, excellent, absolutely. Ben, you may go ahead. I've spoken my piece.
Yes, sir. But yes, we've got some BT-16 content for you guys. We are trying to test out our decks and flesh things out as we kind of see the set unfold. It's been an exciting set. Definitely well deserved from all of us having to deal with BT-15 for as long as we did. And we've definitely got some new ideas for you guys here on the channel. Today's matchup features Arby playing his updated Fenriloogamon build, and our very own TJ, King TJ, playing Myotismon.
It's me.
Now, Myotis is, you know, a lot of people will kind of joke around about it, being like, oh, it's, you know, kind of meme tier. It's a deck, and it definitely does some interesting things, and I think you can see that it fits your playstyle, you enjoy it, and you're very good with it. So I think this is going to be very interesting. I did not get to see this matchup, but the deck, I know after some testing, can do some crazy things. So hopefully we get to see some of it here. Before we hop into the video itself, do feel free to check out our socials, which I will link in the video description down below. And if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, supporting us handsome boys on the channel, we would greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, let us hop right into the round over here.
So as I've stated this in private before, I don't think I've said this on channel. Myotis is probably one of the most fun decks to play right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I had to run and go grab dice. That's why it's taking a second. So it gives me a chance to kind of talk about it. Yeah, it's like it's just a really interesting play style with how it floats and how it interacts with tamers, and how it sort of interacts with your opponent's board state. And it's not a bad deck by any means.
No, it's not.
It genuinely, I think it gets a lot of heat. It gets a lot of smack talk. But genuinely, if you're smack talking it, I think you haven't played the deck or you don't know how to. Maybe it's a bit of a aggressive take, but like, I mean it in the sense of like, not like in a mean way, but in like it's just a deck that like you have to like, sort of like learn it and understand it.
Sure.
And it genuinely can be very, very fun, and it can actually get a lot done. It just suffers from two things. One, a lot of times you do have to do stuff like this where you're hard dropping your level 5s, but it's not like Divas, or it's not like Apocally or like Omnizoo variant, whatever. Because it's not like a snowball payoff in a sense. It's more like a the payoff's very sort of lukewarm in that sense. It basically, to sum it all up, it plays the game too fair.
Sure.
Most decks do stuff like what Luga's doing, where you know you can start your turn with one memory and then go all the way up to Fenry and have a board of 7 Digimon and call it a day. Right. Or sorry, have a board of 6 Digimon. And at that point, you still would have kept turn, and your opponent has 0 security, and you might have just won the game. Yeah. But Myotis is definitely, it's just a bit slower because you need some time to set up. You have to get tamers, you have to get Myotismon and trash. And there's means of doing that can help, but one, it's hard when you're choked all the time, which Arby is very good at doing. I'm also checking every training in the world. And it can be, sorry, I got distracted. But aside from being slow and needing the setup, it also doesn't DP climb very well. So then it struggles with Magna and Tyrant. Against bounce decks, it just suffers because you don't get drawn deletions, which is where you get a lot of your draw consistency and your ability to kind of like float into different tamers and into different bodies. It's just rough right now. There's a lot of decks in the meta that just counter it. Like if we ever get to a meta that's a lot of deletion based stuff, that isn't like super fast and it's a lot more control-y, then I think Myotis could actually do something. But yeah, Arby is just cooking. So he has all 4 trainings on board.
And an
Uko, he has an AG on board. He's got the BT-14 Luga in the back. Like he is good to go.
Like this is one of those moments where you like look over if you're playing a Fenry player and you look at that board and you're like, I very well just may not have another turn after this one.
Oh, I know I'm about to get game next turn. Yeah. My mindset was like, I guess I could just scoop. But then I'm like, well, I'll just play Miss Memory Boost, just trash 2, draw 1. Like on the off chance I live, maybe, you know, if Fenry comes out, I can have enough memory to do something, depending on where Arby puts me at the end of it all. If I live, but yeah. So we see Fenry combo start to happen. He trainings to go up into Lugar. Does pitch a Soluga, but then is thinking about it, and I think he opts not to evo off the effect. Yeah, which he does, and then he goes ahead and trainings for 1 to go into the Solugar because he's like, well, I have all the memory in the world. I can kind of take my time with this, which I think makes more sense. Solugar will attempt to delete something, won't delete anything. Yeah, plays out Tyranno, will search top 4, grabs a boy, bottom decks the rest, trashes a card in hand.
Trashes a Fenry, which then he will now choose to proc the Balmon effect to go into said Fenry. We'll use Fenry's effect to play out 3 Digimon, which that is one hell of a board state over here.
Yeah, I told Arby, I'm like, why? Dude, your cards are coming out on my board. you gotta start pulling some stuff back. He does hit a Venom Fusion, which is pretty good because then I can pitch a Malomyotis to pop his Fenry. Because I pop a Digimon that's a level equal to or less than.
Yeah.
So it lets me do that. And then, yeah. So then turn passes over to me. But I do not have an answer to that. This is where I'm like, I wish I had Death X. If I had Death X right now.
Yeah.
I was in such a good spot because then I could just clear board and just set the clock back to 0, but I cannot. And that's another issue with Myotis. Myotis doesn't do well with wide boards.
You've got a good amount of setup with that Myotis count in trash. I mean, that's what, 5 Myotis in the trash?
Yeah, it's what I need it to be, but I need a Myotismon on board to die so I can have my Yu-Gi-Oh activate, which is just kind of hard to do.
The loop that you can do with that combo is pretty nutty.
It can get crazy. The biggest issue here is I wasn't seeing Mummymon and Arukenimon, or Arukenimon and Mummymon, the other tamer.
Yeah.
That lets me play them for 3, and then I can float out a body. Because that body lets me set up my trash and get good cycle going. And I wasn't seeing it. So right now I'm just considering what to do. I'm in analysis paralysis. I'm trying to figure out how I can best clear board. I opt to just swing into the Lugar. Triggering my retaliation. Then I'll be able to draw some cards and pitch some cards.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at that board state, realizing that you have 1 memory and you're just like, well, okay.
Yeah.
You do Myotis
and then to let me spit out a level 3, which Myotis Ace, I'm like, well, I need to get a blocker. It's the best blocker I have because I'm not playing it for. I mean, he's gonna get a lot of memory regardless of what I do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, at least I can kind of spit out a tamer, or I can spit out a rookie, which I do end up spitting out the Arcane Mummy. So I'm like, if I have a future turn, I can gain a memory off of Yu-Gi-Oh if Myotis dies, and I can also then sort of start setting up and playing out all of my Arukenimon and Mummymon. So Arby starts looking through, bidding what he wants to do. We'll pitch a Dino Bee off of the Evo into that Lugar. We'll training, go up into Solugar for 1, we'll draw, nothing to delete.
But is able to play out a level 4 or lower, so chooses to play out the Lugar. And then here, he's got a couple things he can do, but I mean, he will train to go into another Soul Lugar. We'll pitch an Uko to play out another Lugar. We'll swing with the original Uko that was on the board. You do block this one. Yeah, because I'm like, well, if I'm gonna
die, well, the bodies were, he was just suspending them to remind himself that they can't swing.
Okay.
I think what would have been smarter here would have been to DNA with the two bodies that couldn't swing.
Yeah.
Rather than going over the Lugamon that could swing, or the Tyranno rather. But it's still, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like he's got so many swings on board. He'll just swing over that and crash, and then gain the memory.
You suspend the Yukio to gain a memory back, but Arby just decides to go to Fenry.
Yeah. Using the other Solugar's effect that when one of his Digimon would be deleted. But in fact, oh wait, he didn't have an SOC tamer and sources, did he?
No.
One of your other SOC trait Digimon is deleted. This Digimon made with an SOC trait tamer card and its resolution cards may Digivolve into a Fenriloogamon in the trash without paying the cost. Oh, so he wasn't supposed to do that. Well,
we learned.
It doesn't really change things, but now we know.
Yeah.
So end of turn, I'm able to go ahead and spit out a Malomyotis. I'm debating which one I want to spit out because like I can only pop unsuspendeds. That's kind of some other stupid mechanic with Malomyotis playing too fair, where he's stuck having to look at unsuspended Digimon. But he plays out at the end of opponent's turn, so he is live. He can swing. Now,
It's crazy to me too, like how like sometimes that technicality, that wording of like end of your opponent's turn versus like start of your turn can actually make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So this one we first saw that with like Belfield, right? That was like the first time we really saw that as a big effect.
Yeah, where you had to sort of sequence it correctly because there's a bunch of stuff that happened both end of opponent's turn and start of your turn.
Right.
Or start of your main phase and stuff like that. So I stopped thinking. I just swing over the Fenry. When attacking effect, I can delete one of my tamers, which I have to delete the Yukio because I have a plan to try and wideboard a bit. And then I can delete one of his Digimon, which when I do so, I trash top card of security.
It's pretty good.
And then Fenry dies as well. And so now I'm just trying to consider what to do. So I go ahead, I pop the Arukeni and Mummy to spit out Arukeni for 3, which on play lets me reveal 5, and then I can trash 2 cards among them. And then return the rest to the bottom of the deck, which I do. And then the on deletion effect of Arukeni and Mummymon lets me spit out an Arukenimon or a Mummymon. Which then I go ahead and do the search again.
Good.
However, that one that is played out by this effect is deleted at the end of my opponent's next turn. Which right here, Arby's just trying to clarify how Malomyotis works, so I go ahead and I'm explaining everything.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, well, I got 2 blockers on board. Now what do I do? I'm like, he has 2 swings. I have 2 blockers. I didn't really have a good way of choking. I could have played Yukio for 3, but with the 2 Ages there, he's gonna go to 5 anyways.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's still kind of scary. So I ended up just spitting out a Myotis Ace and then use the effect to go ahead and just play out a Demi V or a Demi Devi to just try and get some search going. I grab a card with Myotismon attacks, which is only 1 real target there aside from the Arcane Mummy.
Sure.
And then I will bottom deck the rest. And then I'll trash a card in my hand.
But I think this is a pretty good illustration too, right, of like what Myotis can do. Even then, you said that this wasn't like the most ideal, but at the same time, like you started with a Malomyotis on board and you already have like 5 bodies on the field, right? Yeah.
And that little stutter there, we had to pause the recording because I went to go and grab my friend a birdcage. So Arby starts going up. He was in the Fenry. Doesn't have Aegean sources because it was Dino Beast, so can't do anything, but he will spit out the Black Gato. Fenry will swing. I forgot the fact that Fenry doesn't need a tamer and sources in order to do his pop effect. So he pops the Myotis. I have to block the Arcani. Myotis dies, so he gains 3. Arcani then dies, which then lets me spit out a tamer, which I spit out the Arcani and Mummy. He got suspense because he deleted something. Uko just swings, I block, and then he just like it's GG's. I think I just told him like, Arby, you're good. You can just swing.
Yeah,
you can just swing. You don't gotta overthink it. There's nothing I can do here.
But yeah, I mean, pretty decent game 1 from both of you guys. Myotis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, I remember when you tested it against me and I was playing Vaccine Armors. I was just it caught me off guard. And it definitely capitalized. You were able to capitalize on that and like kind of popped off, which was crazy.
Well, and the big thing is like if I can see the Arby and MaloMyotis too, I can chain. I can float and chain body into body,
which is exactly what you're doing against me.
Yeah, which then you can actually get some stuff done. You can do decent damage because you have access to retail, you have access to blocker, which are strong effects. You know, you do have like Myotismon's still strong because stretching security is huge, and it has tamer control.
Correct.
Which not a lot of decks do. Like we might see, I don't know, like who knows? Maybe MaloMyotis will actually be like half decent during like BT-18 when we're back in a hybrid meta.
Speaking of that hybrid meta, that's looking wild over there.
I'm so scared of it.
Yes.
I called the SR level 4s. I was literally talking to Mike about it at Dean's, where we were talking about the Duskmon, and I was like, I wonder if we're gonna get all the level, or maybe it was at Sully's, I can't remember. But anyways, I was saying like I wonder if we're gonna get like all the other like spirits as SRs, and Mike was like, well, we might not because they're rares. We got rares for Aguni and Lobo, but I was like, well, you know, if they gave SRs to their megas, so I wouldn't be surprised if the other ones get SRs and then they're just their megas or rares because they got that pro tag energy.
So Arby decides to swing with the little boy, uses his one attacking effect to go into Fenriloogamon, which then when he pitches a card via Balmon effect is able to go into Soul Lugar, which is crazy.
And the Loogamon effect will pop the Uko for the initial swing there. So he spits out that Luga.
Pretty good. And check finally goes through and he hits.
Yeah, which he's 9k, so he's a big guy. Gains 2 memory because of the end of attack inheritables, because I had 1 more memory. So now he's considering how to pass turn.
Just chokes it too.
Yeah, which is smart because then I can't chain and do a bunch of crazy stuff with Arby and Mummy. So I ended up go up into the Bakemon here. I'm like, I need to try and clear that Soul Lugar because that's going to just do something for free. So I go ahead and swing into it with Retail. Die, which lets me go ahead and get some cycle. So I can pitch a level 5 or higher to draw 2 cards, which I do. And then I can pitch 1 to draw 1, or draw 1 to pitch 1 rather, off of the Bakemon. And then he Analog Youth me, and I'm like, oh. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I forgot about Analog Youth. Forgot that guy was there.
And that's pretty good setup from Arby.
No, it is.
Because he's got AG, Analog, Training. He's got multiple bodies on board. He's got the new BT-16 Uko, which I think honestly is not bad. I know some people were like iffy about like the promo Uko in Luga before. But I mean, I think this new BT-16 Uko definitely has a spot in Fenry.
You know something? I also don't understand why Myotis Ace costs 5 instead of 4 like all the other level 5s.
Again, they're just being fair, man.
They gotta
give people a way to keep up.
They made him too fair, and then like they also just kind of gave him a rougher time because like yes, you can do some of this crazy stuff with wideboarding like this and whatnot.
Yeah.
But a lot of those bodies die at the end of turn because of how everything kind of works. But it's just sort of like, I don't know. It's just weird. It just feels like they give Myotis support, but then they give him like support that's like they try and give you like a glimpse of hope with like some cool effects here and there, but then everything else is miserable. Anyways, yeah. So when I Evo'd, I went ahead and I popped something to go ahead and pop the Loogamon. I popped the Arby.
Pushed up with this BT-16 Uko, picked up some pieces, then goes into Luga. The back goes into Hell Lugar, and then passes turn by playing another Loogamon out. Uses the Ender Gem effects to draw, and then I'd assume pitch up to 3 here. Try to pop the board.
Yeah.
And honestly, that sets him in a pretty good way. I mean,
yeah. So it pops me. I use the Yukio effect to go ahead and gain a memory. And then, and the turn opponent's turn, I can delete him to go ahead and play out the Myotis. Arby's realizing now that he forgot to tap analog when he did the Helugar.
Yeah.
And so now I'm considering what I want to do. I have some stuff in my hand that can like maybe help me a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. I swing Uko. Uko does die, which will let me pitch 1 to draw 1. Or draw 2, rather. So it's the level. It's when I can pitch level 5 or higher, draw 2.
Yeah.
I play the Demi V, which then reveals top 4. I can add 1 card with Myotismon and its text. I grab the Malo, I believe, or maybe I was considering the Arcanian Mummy. I can't remember which I grabbed here. Let's say I do grab that. Bottom the rest, and then I trash 1 card in hand, which I do trash that on an Arcanian Mummy. And then I swing. I think I pop the Demi V to pop the Luga, because I'm like, I don't want 2 Luga on there.
Sure.
So then I trash a card and I check a card. So I'm like, okay, it's like I got him to 0 security. But at this point, I have no other rookies in hand, and I think I'm kind of struggling. So I just play a Yukio because I'm like, well, if he pops me, I can. If I don't get game this turn.
Yeah. Right.
And he's just when attacking the restand and pops my Malo, I can suspend it to gain a memory, possibly take turn maybe, and then end of next turn I can just spit out Malomyotis again and then just go crazy.
Right. So we see Arby kind of just stringing along effects here. Goes into another Lugar off of the training for free, then calling for darkness to pop the Uko and bring back a Soul Lugar as well as a Hell Lugar, which is honestly pretty solid here.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good call.
Goes into Soul Lugar, pitching a Black Gato, which is great, then pitching a Fenry, which allows Arby to play out the Black Gato again.
And so now, and then he gains the memory for playing out the body. So he goes and swings the Black Gato into security, does the check, does die to a Mummymon. And then he goes ahead
Fenry shenanigans can occur.
Yeah, goes Fenrir for 4. We'll go ahead and spit out his bodies.
Goes ahead, swing of Fenry, declares an alliance, I would assume, with the Lugar.
Yeah.
And then just passes turn.
Which is an Arcanian Mummy, and then hits a Myotis, which he lives.
Yeah.
And then he swings again.
And then we'll swing at the Gato.
It's a Nuko, and then, yeah, it's GG just because Black Gato has game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, you can see, like, I got him down to 0 security. Like, Myotis definitely can have some stuff. It's just, it's like I said, it plays the game too fair. So it struggles to really kind of close the game sometimes. Yeah. And it's hard to get the right sort of combo / like chain flowing where you're floating into your level 5s and then floating out tamers.
I think similar to what you alluded to with Sylphie last video, right? Like, I think when it snowballs, it can snowball really, really well. It just takes a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah. Takes a little bit of time or a really good high roll.
Yeah.
On your
but it does look like a really fun deck, and I think, like I said before, too, you play it really well. You enjoy the deck, and it really shows. So definitely interested to see how you kind of keep cooking with it.
I wish there was more to cook. I don't really know if there's much more to do with it.
I believe
at this point.
I believe.
I'll look into it, but the deck's kind of just where it's at.
I believe.
I looked at all 3 Myotis lists that topped in Japan, so I don't think there's any cooking that happens with it until maybe something in EX6 I could do something with, but even then it's rough. The rest of the meta is just too fast or too strong. Yeah, that's all just how it goes.
But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed what you see today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you did. And hopefully we catch you on the next set of videos. Bye-bye.
Well, yeah. Bye.